bring the past back up.
Hey everybody, decided to get out with the Legend 2 today. The only settings that I've changed on it so far, I went to 99 tones and a little bit of sensitivity setting. I lowered the sensitivity a little bit. Besides that, I figure I'd use it, get used to it, get to know it, and then do some customizing as I go later on. Turn it back on whenever I get to the first find. Just pulled this memorial copper penny from the sidewalk here. It's an old sidewalk that ain't worth a crap anymore. All right, on to the next one. Got another penny. This time it's a zinkin. Over here, I'm in front of a garage, and so this is like dirt and sediment over the gravel. All right, on to the next one. Next signal ended up being a clad dime. Can't really see the year of it here, but yeah, just a clad dime. All right, on to the next one. Another copper penny memorial. On to the next one. All right, got a clad dime. On to the next one. Next signal is a sinking. All right, on to the next one. All right, got this little chrome ring here. Looks like it fastened to something like a ignition or something like that. All right, on to the next one. Got a clad dime, 1994, I believe it is, right here in the gravel. All right, on to the next one. I'm in an alleyway and I just got it's like a 2025 dime. Or 2005. Anyway. All right, on to the next one. Next find is some type of a smashed canning lid, I believe. Right here in kind of the edge of an alley. All right, on to the next one. Next OK signal was a RC Cola soda lid. That's an older one. All right, on to the next one. Next decent signal was here in the middle of this alley. I believe it's just a clad quarter. I believe the next good signal is just going to be a clad quarter. I think so. Yeah, looks like a 2002, maybe 2005 clad quarter. All right, on to the next one. Stop recording. Stop recording. Hey everybody. Today I'm going to be using the Legend 2 and I'll be hitting up neighbor's yard. Hopefully, I think the very first yard that I did on camera, my very first video was the same yard, and I'm going over it again because that was the first and last time I did that yard. So I guess let's see what we find. All right, thank you. See you at the first find. All right, first decent signal was 78 to 80, and it's this small little glue tube or whatever this is here. All right, it looks like it's a little bit older, probably 70s or 80s or something, maybe older, I don't know. But on to the next one. Next signal I decided to dig ended up being this aluminum lid. I don't really know what it could have been for, but there it is. All right, on to the next one. Here's the next thing I dug. Sorry. I'm not really sure what it is. Some type of an old brass fitting. It's nice. It's got a really old patina on it, so I'm assuming it's fairly old, but I thought for a second maybe it was a piece of a parasol. I can't speak, but I think it's too thick for that. I think it had to have been something else. It's not threaded anywhere, and then I don't know. Maybe we'll look it up later and see if I can figure it out. But it's cool because it's old and it's brass and it's got that old patina on it. All right, on to the next one. Had kind of a crazy signal here, and it ended up being this weed trimming carburetor, or I guess it could have went to a chainsaw or anything like that. But it's a small little 2-stroke engine carburetor. All right, that was a crazy signal. But there's brass and aluminum and about everything else on there. All right, on to the next one. Next hole, I believe it's pieces to some soffit, some aluminum or something like that. All right, on to the next one. All right, another piece of that same aluminum. Looks like crumpled up soffit again, or like the fascia. All right, on to the next one. All right, the next one, I have a little coin ball here. Probably ain't nothing special, but I figured I'd open it on camera. See what we got. Ah, come on. I think it's just going to be a Zinken. Boy, that would have been cool if it had been a weedier at least. Yep, just a memorial, just a Zinken. All right, well, with it being a little coin ball like that, I kind of expect it to be a weedie, but we don't always get what we want, do we? All right, on to the next one. Very next signal, about 2 or 3 foot away. I believe this is going to be probably an older Clyde quarter. Yep, we got 1993. Yep, just an Eagleback quarter. All right. Well, and that relief on that thing seems high. So a little strange. Eh. Yep, just a high relief. 93 quarter. There we go. All right, on to the next one. Next is another zinc penny. And it's crusty. All right, on to the next one. Next signal I decided to dig ended up being this piece of a lamp, an electrical lamp piece. Right. Had the little it was round, and then it had the little twisty thing that came out here, and you would twist it or push it. This one it looked like you twisted. All right, on to the next one. Next signal, an old piece of, looks like copper or brass. Maybe copper this time. I don't know. If it turns into anything, I'll probably let you know. But I don't think it is. I think it's just crap. Yeah, that seems to be all it is. Alright, yep, just a piece of copper. Alright, on to the next one. Trying a 60 signal, it ends up being an old can lid. That's an oldie. Alright, on to the next one. Thought at first this was going to end up being something else, but it turns out, I thought it was going to be a silver coin, but turns out it's a very large plumbing fitting, looks like for a faucet. Yep. Definitely not a coin. Not as deep as I thought it was either. Alright, about maybe 5 inches. Alright, on to the next one. Okay, I got this thing here. And I believe it used to be an old lipstick tube or something like that. It's like a thick aluminum, maybe not crazy thick aluminum, but it's aluminum and it's brown and it's been smashed. Something like that anyway. Alright, maybe it was the metal piece on the top of a flag or something too, I don't know. Possibly. Alright, on to the next one. Next, and maybe the last signal I'm going to do for this video ends up being this aluminum cardinal. Maybe come off a wind chime or something. But there you go. On to the next one. Alright, I figured I'd do a couple more after that little piece of aluminum cardinal. I'm right here by this alleyway. And this little hot rod was in there. Looks like a Jeep hot rod. Maybe. Jeep headlights. Looks like BMW taillights. Some crazy side pipes on it. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, the next kind of thing is here. Oh, wow, what was that? It's a little aluminum piece. I'm not really sure what it would have went to. I don't think I see anything that leans me towards anything specific. So, yep. All right, on to the next one, or to the wrap up. All right, I about gave up and I was gonna go in for the day when I got this funky signal, and I don't believe. I know this is an old lighter, like an old Ronson refillable. I can't really see. I think it just has like a blue color on it. One of those old desk lighters. Duralite is the company. I like finding these old things. Wish it was in a little bit better shape, but I'll take it. Pretty cool. To me. Alright, on to the next, or to the end, or whatnot. Alright.
Oh, 41 relics, still digging it up. One more signal down till the next one comes.